Seed is money, okay? So to water, to make a startup grow, you water it with money, and then it grows, okay? So pre-seed is before they raise any money. It does not mean they did not get money into the company, namely their own money. But this is called still pre-seed. Seed is the first investment. Just in numbers, average seed investment in Israel would be in the neighborhood of $300,000, where here in Russia, seed money is $1 million. Round A, okay, which will be a later stage, in Russia is $5 million, up until $5 million. In Israel, one and a half maybe. It is something to talk about. We will not discuss it right now, but it is for sure even understood to you guys that every idea would start with someone with a vision. I'm sorry for this picture, I don't know what happened to it, but the people that you see here is Theodore Herzl over here. He invented Israel. He's the guy with the vision, with the idea. Let Jews have a country of their own called Israel. 50 years later, he announced it on Basel at 1898. 50 years later, 1948, this guy, Ben-Gurion, David Ben-Gurion, was our first prime minister, made it a reality. Now I can just try and, sharpen some things that you know already and you do already on a daily basis, just to make it more focused for you. One of the most difficult things that you will encounter each and every day of your life is taking things from the idea stage to the doing. How many times you tell yourself, I need to do this, and in reality, 20% of what you want to do, you actually do. Some things are so easy, like picking up a phone, and you don't do them. Why? Billion reasons. But think for yourself for a minute, if you look at yourself, how difficult it is to move things from the idea, important as it might be, to the doing. Think about a guy, inventing a country and a guy doing the country. If you were to relate this to a startup, you will always have the founder, the guy with the idea. Most cases, he's not the technical guy. He's not the doer. He is the guy with the idea. He's the innovator. He is the guy that looked at something and said, wow, something needs to be done about this. 99.9% of all of you here, go on with your life. You say it and you move on. Entrepreneurs stick. They stop and they say, I'm going to do it. Even if it pops out at 3 in the morning on the coldest night ever, you will still get out of bed, take a pen and write it to yourself. You don't do it. I mean, first of all, let's face it. We have how many? 5,000 students here? This room had to be filled up until Kamchatka. And you see, it is very hard. It is not criticism. I'm saying because I know. I'm saying it is very difficult. And when you look at an entrepreneur, you need to consider that as well. I'm going to show you a short. We have sound now. Let's see how it goes. Enjoy the video.
There's one country, though, that truly stands out, and that is Israel.
Israel is the fastest growing, one of the most dynamic, entrepreneurial, and innovation-based economies on the planet.
The sky is the limit for inventors in Israel.
Israel has been a remarkable achiever in terms of technological innovation.
Israel has developed some of the world's leading technology.
Even if you don't live in Israel, chances are you have something that was made here.
If you just look at it on a daily basis, how much stuff you use in your daily life that has its origins in Israel, it's rather remarkable.
Many of the microprocessors invented by Intel were designed in Israel.
Nowhere in the world outside of Silicon Valley will you find more technology startups. People come from all over the world to look for Israeli technology.
Warren Buffett showed up.
What do we do about this?
When you look at the NASDAQ, companies are listed from around the world. There's one country, though, that truly stands out, and that is Israel.
Israel is the fastest growing, one of the most dynamic, entrepreneurial, and innovation-based economies on the planet.
The sky is the limit for inventors in Israel.
Israel has been a remarkable achiever in terms of technological innovation.
Israel has developed some of the world's leading technology.
Even if you don't live in Israel, chances are you have something that was made here.
Start the video on this.
If you just look at it on
I don't know how to do it here. You have an idea. What to offer. So this is videos inside slide.
a daily basis,
When you look at the NASDAQ, companies are listed from around the world. There's one country, though, that truly stands out, and that is Israel.
Israel is the fastest growing, one of the most dynamic, entrepreneurial, and innovation-based economies on the planet.
The sky is the limit for inventors in Israel.
Israel has been a remarkable achiever in terms of technological innovation.
Israel has developed some of the world's leading technology.
Even if you don't live in
So, we spoke a bit about the numbers, and I want to talk about the 4.7. Okay, so Israel's GDP for 2014 was $300 billion. Here it was with the trillions, okay, in Russia. Rest assured. But the interesting part is that our government would take almost 5% out of our GDP and invest it back in startups. This makes us number one in the world in taking the country's money and investing it back into the startups. Why? Simple. When you do an investment in your life, you will always plan in a way your ROI, return on investment, meaning I gave you $10, I'm adding some interest, and I'm expecting to get it back. Money, 10 plus interest. Since we do, for the last several years, exits in the neighborhood of $4 billion to $5 billion a year, think about the taxation, the tax that the country is getting back, which is tenfold more than the money she invests. Are you familiar with Waze? Waze. Anyone? Navigation, Waze that you put, you want to get to one place to another, you put on Waze, you have maybe something similar here. Google something.
Google like Google Maps.
It's like Google Maps, but it's for traveling. I mean, to getting from one point, I go something, I don't know, when you want to go from one place to another. So,
Navigators.
navigators. Okay, so this country, this company, Waze, was actually bought by Google for $1.1 billion. You can relatively sum up the money that this investment was covered by that exit. So in a way, we are already planning that whatever the country invests, it will get back from doing exits. Okay, those numbers are 2014, I can update to 2015, being that new startups in 2014 were 1,000. This year, 1,500 new startups were born in Israel in 1 year. Interesting also is that 400 closed. That is a number no one will talk about. 400. Not only the new one born, but in general. We have done VC deals. You see the numbers of almost 700. You see money raised. Well, this money, 3.4, we exceeded that and went close to almost $5 billion of raising funds by startups. We have over 70 acceleration programs in Israel. Just for comparison, in Latvia, they have 2. Okay, that's a country of 2 million people and less. You know how many you have here? You know any programs, any acceleration?
I think maybe around 100. Because there are many small accelerator programs in high schools, in universities, in cities outside Moscow. I think that we have about 100 programs.
Okay. The main difference is those 70 are not inside anything. They are private owned, A. B, most of them are owned by international companies, being Google, IBM, Samsung, Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, Microsoft. Those companies actually bought Israeli startups, decided not to take them back to the origin country, but to leave them in Israel, and around them to open an R&D center, and around that to open an accelerator.
And what is the focus of the Coca-Cola accelerator? What does Coca-Cola search?
Put more gas in the Coca-Cola. Fun.
What ideas?
Different ideas. Again, Coca-Cola is the slogan, taste of life. So about that. Samsung, Nike, all those. And it differs from time to time. But what is certain is that those companies have decided to open for themselves in order to be more focused on the way those startups develop. So if you would to be an academy and you would open your doors to startups to sit here, and you would like to go into ed tech, education technology, you of course will direct them and guide them and help them in those ways. Let's see if this works.
Over the past few days, we've taken a look at Korea's startup environment, but today we turn our focus to Israel, a relatively small country in terms of geography and population, but a world leader when it comes to fostering new companies. Our Hannah Kim shows us what makes business innovation there possible.
Israel has over 60 IT startups listed on the NASDAQ. That's more than the combined total number of startups from Europe, China, Japan, and Korea. And this comes on the back of the country's strong R&D gene. Scientists and technicians per capita in Israel are nearly double those in the US, helping Israel's innovative city, Tel Aviv, become the second best startup ecosystem in the world after California's Silicon Valley. Experts say the country's unique chutzpah culture, or pioneer spirit, also plays an important role in creating venture capital buzz. But helping to weave these elements together is the government. Through seed investments, it's been supporting the core technology of startups, hard and costly to build up, but regarded as critical for development.
They are heavily investing in this very, very risky stage where usually commercial organizations are quite averse to investing in this area.
Israel's first venture capital firm was established in the mid-1980s. By 1993, the government collaborated with the private sector to form Yozma, one of the country's largest venture capital funds. Luring in foreign venture capitalists by offering tax incentives and doubling investment through a government matching program, Yozma managed over $220 million in its 3 funds.
Israel's
How do we build this ecosystem that we so much talk about? Well, the ecosystem you would see inside the bowl, okay? It would be, of course, the startups, it would be the VCs for money, angel investors for money, mentors to guide the startups, services like different companies, networking, etc. On the left, we would see that the inputs that this bulb is getting comes from universities, comes from multinational R&D centers, as I mentioned, some of them. Successful startups are as important as failed startups. I don't know which of you is familiar with a conference called FailCon. FailCon is an international conference that is all about one thing: failure. People go on stage and tell everyone how they failed. Try this as a culture. Try this to understand why when you go to an interview at Google, HR will ask you, tell me about a failure. Think that as an investor, you would rather invest in someone that has never failed in his life, or invest in someone that did fail, got on the ground, laid down, stood up back, came up with a new idea, and is here to tell you, I'm going to do it. Most probably you will say to yourself, well, if you fell and you stood up again, you in the way accumulated. You have in a way got more experience out of this. This is why we not just celebrate success, but we also talk about failure. I'm not sure that FailCon has ever been done here in Russia, but I for sure invite you to try. If you want, we can make a conference like this. Silicon Valley, of course, is similar to what you know as Silicon Valley in the valley, but the Arabic word for valley is Vadi, and in Israel we use it, so we are called the Silicon Valley. And Aliyah. Aliyah meaning that Jews and Israelis that are living outside Israel come back in, and of course, being here in Russia, you know, if you don't know, I will tell you that I would say that in every second startup I meet, the CTO is from around here somewhere. Russian is his native language, native tongue. So what we do see a lot is people, and you will name them afterwards, with amazing technical capabilities, meeting people with amazing marketing and sales capabilities. I'm not talking about management, I'm not talking about finance, I'm talking technology, marketing and sales. And you can tag each one. What is also interesting is this part. Well, entrepreneurs are the new cultural heroes in Israel. In Israel, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Startup guy. I have a startup. You would say about everything, it's a startup. This is like a sentence you will always use. Like for instance, I don't know, you see this small bottle, change the cap to blue, I would say, wow, that's a startup. Just to say it. Startup, the term startup is being used on a daily basis all the time. And this is something I think unique, very much unique to us. We as Israelis always question authority, always. A no for Israeli is not an option. That is an answer we cannot even, try and grasp and understand. If we say something that we want from you and the answer is no, it will always be yes, and if it's a no, we will make it a yes. Probably and mostly with money. I want to raise money, give me money? No. No. Yes. And you will go around and you'll find tricks, and when he closes the door, you come from the window, and close the window, you come from the chimney. It doesn't matter, you will get the money. Without money, no startup, no idea, no nothing. Everyone in Israel is reachable. Just reach for your phone, WhatsApp, Viber, call him, Facebook, LinkedIn, tag him, share him, like him, whatever. You can reach everyone with this. Try it here. A lecture like this in Israel, and you can, of course, imagine I give them on a monthly basis. Doesn't matter where I do it. They'll be fighting outside to get in. This is very different from what I'm used to, and I don't really have any explanation why it is like this. It's not like me criticizing you. It is me criticizing you. But it is part of culture. It is part of culture because one of the things that makes harder people in Israel is the army. We serve our country from the age of 18, girls 2 years, boys 3 years, mandatory. You have not done army, you're considered this small. The way that we evaluate, mainly men, evaluate other men when they talk is, where did you serve? What was your rank? I know how old he is, I know how serious his job was, I know how much he learned. Me, for instance, I've done the Naval Academy. In my time, just to do the Naval Academy, it would take 1.5 years just to be in the academy, and then you would sign for many years ahead. I've done 13 years in the Navy. Today, Naval Academy added a first degree also in the university. So just for the first part, their whole course is like 3 years. And that's just to become a naval officer, just to begin. And then they sign years ahead. This makes something to anyone that goes through this process. In the age of 18, you are responsible to your life and others. You need to take life and death decisions this quick. Open fire or not. You are a commander of a vessel worth an amount of money that in your, greatest dreams you will never have. But you command this. You command its crew could be a tank, it could be a ship, it could be whatever. And it's mandatory. You cannot go around it. If you are called for a job interview, second question would be, did you serve? Now, recently, by law, it is not allowed to ask this question. No one does much about this, but still. Women, we have women pilots, we have women naval commanders, we have women everywhere in the army. Sadly, we don't have enough women in entrepreneurship, in innovation. And for me, this is a puzzle. It is a puzzle because basically what women can do at the same time, like guys cannot cross the street and chew a gum at the same time, okay? Women can do 100 things at the same time. They're super innovative, super creative, but you don't find them in entrepreneurship. I don't really understand why. We have tried and still trying to open programs especially for women. They don't work, but we still try. The latest is called WMN, and it's 50-50 women and men. This, in a way, works. An entrepreneur, and you should fit it on yourself, and this is a big question. Is this a DNA? I'm meeting many delegations coming from overseas, China, India, Northern Europe, coming to learn this miracle, trying to see if it is possible to copy this DNA to their country, to get people as a culture to think outside the box, not to perceive, not to understand everything as it looks, as it appears. It is very naive to hear or look at the news on TV and really believe that everything there is the hard truth. That's reality. No, it's not. Politics, this is not reality. This is a make-believe someone prepares and wants you to believe in. It is up to you to be clever enough to decide. But it serves this game, the game of investor versus an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur in Moscow, in Russia, when he tells you that he wants to raise $100,000, he will deliver the application within 3 months as alpha, as MVP, as a prototype. Then he will test it for a month and a half. Then he will do the debugging, and he will send it to you via mail in 4 months' time, done for $100,000. It is not just a belief that he has. He will do it, period. Israeli? Not because we are liars, or we also really meant what we said, but we are very different in culture. First of all, we smile a lot. You can see that, you can turn the camera, you don't smile so much, I don't know why.
It's Russian DNA.
You said it. You're very rugged. You're very stiff. You're to the point. You mean what you say. And you're 100% behind it. Israelis, well, we go with the flow. An Israeli does not feel any guilt in not delivering on the date. More so, he does not feel any problem not even picking up the phone and telling the investor, I'm not going to deliver. And after 3 months, when the investor calls him, he says, it was this month? Oh my God, I thought it was the, and that's that. Or I had to do reserve time in the army, or so you will invent something. It is culture. It is not, again, a make-believe culture. It is a game. And the game is that an entrepreneur standing here will sell the investor whatever he wants and whatever he can just to get the money. And he really believes he can deliver. I'm just asking, if you're here and you're the founder and I'm asking you, okay, where's your technical guy? Where's your CTO? Where's your technical partner? And you say, I'm looking for him. How come you can show me your timeline that you're going to deliver in 4 months? You don't even have the guy that will do it. He doesn't have a problem. He'll say, in Hebrew it says, Yeh beseder. It will be okay. I'll manage it. And he believes it. Sometimes it works. 99% it doesn't work. But on the other side, see, it's an investor. He's not a young guy. He's not like 20-something years old. He's like more in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And still, he believes this guy, and he gives him money. That's the odd thing. I mean, you've got a serial liar standing here, and you've got a gambler sitting here. I mean, on every given minute, whatever idea you have here, my money is more safe in the bank. You know what? Under the floor, my money is more safe than in your bank account. But still, I will give it to you. Why? Belief. Taking risk. Taking risk is a very difficult thing, even to practice, not even to do, but just to practice. Taking a risk starts with an entrepreneur in Israel that most of them, in the middle of everything in their lives, with families, with mortgage, with debts, with everything, will quit their work, will quit their jobs, and do their startup. Bootstrap, garage style, whatever word, buzzword you have heard, we do it daily. Risk-taking is because we believe we will deliver. Otherwise, no chance in hell. Again, culture. We're a very young nation, very, very low on resources. We don't have oil. We have some gas now. We have the lowest point on earth, which is the Dead Sea, which gives us a lot of salt. That's like the land of milk and honey. We have a lot of salt, not milk and honey. So in a very early stage, we have decided to be self-sufficient. We can rely only on ourselves. Well, if you look at Russia, and I'm not saying that you brought it on yourselves, but you see things are happening, I wouldn't say the same, but you should consider it. We are boycotted on a daily basis by everyone. Open the newspaper. Any way that you can fix this, excuse me, any way that you can fix the video, no, nothing is running. If you can. So, what we could rely on is our brain power. We could rely, when I say self-sufficient, is that if I want to buy something from you, and you say, I'm not going to sell it, or I'm going to buy it from someone else that also says he's not going to sell it, or I invent it. And if I invent it, I go, and I do it the best I can. And you know what? When you look at this and you call me and you say, wow, I want to buy it. I don't have a grudge, I'll sell it to you. Okay, not everything. If I develop missiles, I don't sell them to Iran. Not me. But the simple thing we do. So we are leading on agro. We are leading on manufacturing milk from cows. We are leading on irrigation. We lead on processors for Intel. We invented the flash drive. You all use a flash drive without even knowing it was invented in Israel. We invented Waze.
Over the past few
We invented the cherry tomato. That's us. That's us because no one else wanted to give it to us. And we were low on water, and we still are mostly desert, but we made it flourish. So we made little tomatoes. No other reason, just less water. The whole world wants to buy it. You know, Jaffa oranges, you know, many things. Out of necessity. This was not out of privilege saying, wow, let's invent this because we can do this and this and this. We can also, no. It was for necessity to survive, to be able to maintain ourselves. And we still are this way. But now we're worldwide known for it. You can see there's so many brands that have decided to make Israel their home, and why this is important. Think that as a startup, you came up with something which is very relevant for Samsung. Do you know where Samsung is in Russia? Where is their R&D center in Russia?
Remember, there's no State University. It is one R&D center of Samsung. They give some.
I chose the wrong name. Hold on. Where is Facebook? R&D center in Russia. There is one. Good. This was the answer I wanted. But you can imagine all those names, including eBay and Google, AOL. AOL themselves have an acceleration program called Nautilus in Israel. Samsung have an acceleration program called Runway. Coca-Cola has the Bridge. IBM has a Alpha. I don't remember Cisco, 3M, Microsoft. So you see the names. Those companies just came, bought an Israeli startup and say we're going to stay, but bought not for 20 million ruble, but to $200 to $1 billion and stayed. And stayed because this is the startup nation. This is where the ideas come from. I don't know, if anyone here worked at Google? You know that Google gives workers 1 hour a day that they can do just one thing, which you will love, stare. They sit in front of a window this big, they have a chair that does a massage, and a small fridge with Coca-Cola and whatever, and they allowed 1 hour to stare outside. Amazing. You know how many amazing ideas come out of it? You know that sometimes when you type in the Google engine and you didn't switch from language to language, it goes rubbish, gibberish, English, right? But it still recognizes it, autocorrect. That was invented in Israel. Someone came up with an idea. Says, well, bugs me every time I forget to do the control alt. And it writes rubbish. When I raise my hand, I say, oh, it's rubbish. But it does autocorrect. This came out of that. So what is, I think, even more important is that if you want to know that all those companies sit somewhere like 20 kilometers from here, but they're not like 120 kilometers and 120. Most of them will be centered in Tel Aviv. So by walking with my tablet or smartphone, I can go door to door. Hello, I want to show you something. As you remember, just one phone call away. And I can go to all these companies and, you know, check whatever I want, explore whatever I want, offer my product, ask for money, whatever. Think how that makes your life easier as an entrepreneur. I know it's not going to work. I don't know what to do about this. Did it fix anything?
No, it's different products that you use.
But it worked. I showed it the last time I was here. All the movies work. Maybe I should bring my computer. No, we need to run something. I mean, it starts, but
It should be quite enough time so you can
so I wanted to show you this. You know what? Maybe you should just listen to. You know our Schwarzenegger? For sure, right? Listen to this.
People ask me all the time, they say to me, what is the secret to success? First rule is trust yourself. But what is most important is that you have to dig deep down and ask yourself, who do you want to be? Not what, but who. And I'm talking about not what your parents and teachers want you to be, but you. I'm talking about figuring out for yourselves what makes you happy, no matter how crazy it may sound to the people. So rule number one is, of course, trust yourself no matter what anyone else thinks. And of course, rule number two is break the rules. You have so many rules in life about everything. I say break the rules, not the law, but break the rules. It is impossible to be a maverick or a true original if you're too well behaved. You don't want to break the rules. You have to think outside the box. That's what I believe. After all, what is the point of being in this world? All you want to do is be liked by everyone and avoid trouble. The only way that I ever got any place was the breaking some of the rules. Which of course brings me to rule number three. Don't be afraid to fail. Anything I've ever attempted, I was always willing to fail. You can't always win, but don't be afraid of making decisions. You can't be paralyzed by fear or failure, or you will never push yourself. You keep pushing because you believe in yourself and in your vision. And you know that it's the right thing to do. Success will come, so don't be afraid to fail. Which brings me to rule number four, which is don't listen to the naysayers. I mean, how many times have you heard that you can't do this, you can't do that, and it's never been done before? So I love it when someone says that no one has ever done this before, because then when I do it, that means that I'm the first one that has done it. So pay no attention to the people that say it can't be done. I always listen to myself and said, yes, you can. That brings me to rule number five, which is the most important rule of all. Work your butt off. Now, I've always believed leaving no stone unturned. Muhammad Ali, one of my great heroes, had a great line in the 70s when he was asked, how many sit-ups do you do? He said, I don't count my sit-ups. I just start counting when it starts hurting. And I feel pain. That's when I start counting, because that's when it really counts. That's what makes you a champion. That's the way it is with everything. No pain, no gain. And let me tell you, it is important to have fun in life, of course, but when you're out there partying, horsing around, someone out there at the same time is working hard. Someone is getting smarter and someone is winning. Just remember that. And if you want to win, There's absolutely no way around hard work. None of my rules find a way of success work unless you do. I've always figured out that there's 24 hours a day. You sleep 6 hours, and then 18 hours left. I know that some of you out there now says, well, wait a minute, I sleep 8 hours or 9 hours, but then just sleep faster, I would recommend. Just remember, you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in the pocket. That takes me to rule number 6, which is a very important rule. It's about giving back. Whatever path that you take in your life, you must always find time to give something back. Something back to your community, give something back to your state, to your country. Let me tell you something, reaching out and helping people will bring you more satisfaction than anything else you've ever done. Remember those 6 rules. Trust yourself, break some rules, don't be afraid to fail, ignore the naysayers, cook like hell, and give something back.
That's it. We're good. Any questions, guys?
I have a question, because now here we have a biotech accelerator and in biotech, which is extremely connected with science. That is a very long cycle, time to market. So what can you advise to biotech startups here in Russia, how to manage them in case of very long cycle? What are your primary advices?
First of all, you're right, there is a long cycle. This is the reason I'm not involved in biotechnology in general. It is a long cycle and a very expensive one. We're talking lots and lots of millions. We're talking strict regulation, and it is for people who run marathon. I am a sprinter. This is why I don't do that. So I don't have much to really to consult in this. I border with medical devices. This is where I'm still at. Anyone else, please? Any questions? You can say you enjoyed. It's also good. It's okay to say good words. I need to really to coach you guys. I don't know.
And what is possible collaboration between your accelerator projects and our accelerator projects?
First of all, the collaboration could be between you and me. It doesn't need to be with acceleration or whatever. Before I came here this morning, we had a meeting, and I sat with 4 startups that are from around here. Heard great ideas. More again on the technical side, very good. On the business side, needs improvement. Whenever you get into a junction, a query, when you want someone else or someone's opinion, you can ask, you can turn to me as well. I'm on WhatsApp, I have my email, I have my Facebook, LinkedIn, the works. Whatever you want, you can turn to me and ask. You can even call me, it's okay, on WhatsApp.
And what are your conditions? For example, if we have an interesting startup, we can send to you a presentation, you will take some time and analyze it and give feedback or advice. But what is the price? It's your time, what are your conditions?
I will donate to the Russian economy at these harsh times my time, and I'm just asking this: if you would to turn to me for advice, be specific. Don't send me a presentation and say, what do you think about it? I'm not going to think about it for a minute. I'm going to delete it. Okay? If you do want to ask me something specific, send me whatever you want and ask a question. It could not be longer than 2 sentences. Third, my automatic system sends it to the garbage. Okay? When I answer, it is just one answer. There is no way around it. Meaning, if someone needs my consultancy, I give it, okay? And your part of the deal is to do exactly what I say. It's simple, okay? It's like the army. It's my way or the highway. Otherwise, don't turn to me. If you're not ready, okay, to be criticized, to cry on the phone or wherever, don't call me. If you do call me, have a pen and paper ready, because you're gonna get a lot of advice, sometimes phone numbers. I can give you an example from yesterday. I'm consulting the one hub they have in Riga called Tech Hub, and in 2 weeks' time I'm there because they have a competition called Tech Chill, which is also outside Latvia. And I've been asked, first of all, to do some mentoring. One of the lectures I like a lot is the pitch night lecture. Pitch night meaning before you have a demo day and you stand in front of investors, potential investors, and you pitch your startup. You talk for 5 minutes and you pray for money. It is amazing to me, you know, that you have problem turning to family and friends. You know the term FFF, foolish friends and family, when you turn to them for money and they give it to you, but you don't do it so easily. On the other hand, you have no problem turning to someone you have seen for 5 minutes and say, I want $1 million of your money. Think about it. How difficult it is to turn to someone to ask for money, but when you have a startup, you just forget about it, which is okay. I met startups, again here, with maybe some potential, but they need a lot of help. Help in thinking. And I can tell you that if I were to throw an idea here, get out of this room, close the door, seal it, and open it after 3 hours, the amount of ideas that you will have here to the problem or idea I've set here on the table will be amazing. It is about the talking. As it seems, you don't talk so much. It is a bit problematic, but I reckon that when you sit among yourselves, you do talk and you do share. It is about the sharing. It is not about, and you will see it in Israel, it is not that you do stuff because you wait for someone to pay you or to repay you or in any way. You just want to share. Everyone, you know what? 50% of everyone in Israel will very much like to see someone else succeed as long as he is Israeli. Okay? They will promote, they will move aside, they will go back just to have someone succeed. If it's not them, the second one that they will want is another Israeli to do it. We have so many people from Russia and Israel. Russia, Ukraine, Latvia, Riga, everything. And still, our biggest market is the United States. And the reason it's our biggest market is simple. Potential, 350 million. Language, English. V, both, for us. We are less open to Europe, but there's a lot of potential here. First of all, it's very close to us. Second, we have different nationalities that can talk the language. And we are very much into sharing and opening what we have for you and the other way back. Hopefully, we will find a budget somewhere here and either have an innovation center or have a kind of an acceleration program or have a kind of a course using webinar, and maybe I would partially come here also since I'm all around everywhere, but it's up to you. So if you want this, if you see yourselves as someone taking part, don't be shy, don't be embarrassed, just say yes or I do, and we can do something. Any more questions?
What is the aim of the visit to Russia?
What is
The aim.
for me?
Yes.
It's a good question. I always start with it. I'll tell you what I'm saying in every lecture. I'm saying, I don't know why you guys are here. for sure. I know why I'm here. My reason is simple, to be invited again. That's it. I'm giving you this free. I mean, it doesn't cost anything here. I'm financed by our Foreign Ministry of Israel. I'm going to lecture tomorrow again at the Higher School for Economy or something. And again, financed by our embassy. 2016 was targeted by many as the year for India, and by some to enter Russia. If you would have, God forbid, a terrorist act, you will see everyone canceling but Israelis. Israelis come. We like the action. We live it daily. You guys have no idea how it's to live here and see missiles fall over there on a daily basis. You have no idea what I'm saying. You can even dream it. This is our reality. Think about yourself going to university to learn and hearing during the day 10 times sirens and you need to leave the classroom, go to a shelter, go back. One of the times you pass by here and everything here is broken, no glass. Why? The missile fell over there. Can you imagine this? This is not 1901. This is last year. We are tough as steel. And we know what we do best. Each and every one of you in your life heard someone else tell him, wow, you are really good at this. Well, you hear it for the first time, you say, wow, thanks. Second time, wow, thanks. Third time, wow. Fourth time, yeah, I've been told. 10th time, well, yeah, well, you know, how about I'm also this? No. Number 12 comes and no one tells it to you. Look at him and say, why don't you tell me I'm good at this? It doesn't matter. What I'm trying to get is that you can relate to what I just said, the difference between you and me, that I took what people told me I'm good at and made myself the best in it. 99%, not 100% of the people heard it, done nothing with it, or tried to be best at something else. Shades yourself, well, I'm already best at this, or good at this. I would live this and do that, and be good at that. It's a difference. The Korean cab driver in Korea goes to sleep dreaming he will wake up a better cab driver. An Israeli goes to sleep, he wakes up and thinks, well, maybe I'll be the station manager. Well, how about the secretary for transportation? If I'm there already, how about the prime minister? That's Israelis, opportunists, MacGyvers. You don't remember this series, but it doesn't matter. It's culture. Can be taught. DNA, not sure. But if you would go with something with you when I live here, is try and figure out what most of the people tell you you're good at and be the best at. That will be your job security. That will turn into a magnet. That can really change your life. Okay. So still on smile, I'll smile. Thank you very much for hearing me. I hope to see you next time.